welcome back to Between the Ears. Today I'm going to be taking you through a groom, tack up and ride with me. So first things first, I've got to get the horse out of the paddock. So here I am saying hello to him and putting his halter on. Then I'll lead him to his yard. It was such a lovely day this day, not a cloud in the sky. And then I'll just pop him in the yard with his hay net. And I always give him some loosened hay before riding and while I'm tacking him up so that he has something in his stomach to prevent ulcers, as well as providing him with some slow release energy for the ride. Then I'll just take his rug off. So today he's just wearing a cotton mesh hybrid and this rug really needs some repairs, as you can see by the little holes in it. That's just from being in the paddock and playing with other horses. Then I get to work on grooming him. So today I started out with a curry comb, just the flexible one from Epona, and I really like this one as it's nice and gentle on his skin because he does not really like being brushed. Then I'll just take this big soft dandy brush / body brush and I'll give him a good flick all over and just get any of the loose dirt or hair or muck that's stuck on him. Then it's time to brush out his mane and tail using my favourite, the Queen's mane and tail brush from Epona. And I'll just give his mane a good brush through, his forelock, and then I'll move on to his tail, which can take a long time if he's been out in the paddock and I haven't brushed it for a few days. Then it's time to tack him up. So today I was doing a dressage ride, so I start with my Lara Tweedy gingham dressage pad, which I love. Then I pop my Bates in over dressage saddle on, and then he has a few shims just under his left shoulder because his right shoulder is bulkier, so it just evens it out a bit more, and I've really noticed a difference since I've started adding that in. Then I'll just make sure everything's sitting nicely on his back before I start attaching my girth, which is a Lemieux anatomical sheepskin girth, which he loves because he's quite a sensitive skinned horse. I always make sure I do up my girth super slowly, so you'll notice that I continually adjust it just by one hole as I'm going because I don't like to do it up super abruptly on them. I just don't think it's nice. And then the last thing I do is pop his boots on, and I do this last because it's not good for their legs to heat up too much, and also I often don't put boots on him when I'm riding, but today because I knew I'd be doing some lateral work I put them on because I knew that he often brushes his legs together. And then here I'm just picking out his hooves, which I make sure I do before every ride. And as you can see, he's a very clever boy and he does both legs from the same side, and this is because he's an off-the-track racehorse and they teach them this at the track for convenience. Then I'll just pop my helmet on. I've got a cap with a polo brim on it that keeps the sun off my face and I absolutely love it. Then it's time to put the bridle on, so I just grab my bridle and then take off his halter and fly mask, which I just left on him because it was super sunny, hot, and there were a lot of flies around this day. And before I put his bridle on, he likes to have a few scratches, which you'll see. He gets a few little face rubs, and this took me so long, like 10 years, to untangle my bridle, so he just stood like a very good boy, nice and still. And then here I give him the face rubs, which he loves. Little kiss, and then time to put the bridle on. And he was being a little bit evasive today, he's not normally, but then I just pop that on and make sure I do it nice and slowly so I'm not hitting his teeth when I put the bit in. And then I just do up my noseband. I do my noseband up super loose, and you can see I have it up quite high on his face. This is just to avoid the sensitive nasal bones on the front of their face, which I'll insert a picture of. I really hate bridles with a dropped noseband because of that. It puts a lot of pressure on those delicate bones and it can actually also restrict their breathing. So little fun fact or not so fun fact for you there if you didn't know. So check the fit of your horse's noseband, make sure it's up nice and high, sitting just below their cheekbones. I'll insert some pictures of some correctly fitted bridles versus incorrectly fitted bridles. And then here you can see me just going back and doing up my girth for the final time. And then it is time to walk up to the arena and have a ride. He is such a good boy. He stands still while I pull my stirrups down. He is such a good boy, and you can see his ears are just flicked back because it was quite windy on this day, so he was avoiding the wind going in his ears. I don't know what it is, but recently I've been filming on really windy days and it has not been ideal. Anyway, time to hop on up. I always get up nice and slow and sit down nice and slow to avoid slamming down on the horse's back, which is something that everyone should try and do because we love our horses and we don't want to hurt their backs. And then I'll start off my ride with just a nice loose rein walk. I walk him around for 5 to 10 minutes. Today it was super hot, so I just did 5. And then here I give him a trot on a loose rein, kind of just trying to get him to open up a little bit because he can be a little bit stiff at the start of rides. And then I'll just change rein, and I'm slowly asking him to collect up a little bit more. Still here, just letting him kind of trot it out. And then here I'm slowly asking him to collect up with my leg. And here I'm just trying to establish that contact, which can be a little bit tricky with him. He is just coming back into work after a long period of time off, so we're just figuring out our buttons again. But he used to have a really bad habit of ducking behind the vertical, which we've worked really hard to get past. So I'm just always trying to encourage him to take the bit forward and down and carry himself properly rather than getting hollow. And then after I've trotted around for a bit, I decided I'd do some lateral work. This leg yield I wasn't super happy with because it felt like he was just running through my outside leg and rein. This one I was a bit happier with, although still not perfect. That's okay. Then we do another one on this side. Something I find really helpful when I'm leg yielding is having a clear target in mind. So I picked that brown pole you can see sticking up there, and that just really helps visualize and push your horse to where you want them to be. And then I did a little bit of shoulder end work, and this is something that's still a work in progress for us. So you'll see anytime he loses it or we lose it, I just circle him back around and then ask him to come off the track, and I do this on both reins. Unfortunately I didn't get clips of both. And then he was a really good boy, so I just slow him down and give him a pat. And then here I decide to ask for a little canter. Not my best transition or our best transition, but that's okay. So you'll see I do ask him to come back to trot, so we'll try again. And he is a horse that can rush out of the canter into the trot, and something I try and do is push him forward into that so that I'm not restricting him straight away, and then slow him down with my seat, which is a little bit trickier, but it's better than the shortcut of just jabbing them in the mouth. And then there I ask him again, not a perfect transition. I'm actually okay with that one though, because he did listen to me and came off my leg at the right time. And then here he tries to break the canter, I remember. Very unlike him. That's okay, I just put my leg back on softly and ask him to keep going. He actually produced some lovely canter work today, which I was very happy with. Also, please excuse the giant mud stain on his right flank. I didn't notice that. And yeah, here he gives me a really nice feeling of just taking me forward and through in the canter rather than sucking up and back, which is an issue that he struggles with. And I've also got some bad habits as a rider that I'm trying to work through. You'll see in the trot my hips rotate a little bit when I go up, which makes my hands move, which is really not ideal. Anyway, I'm working through it. Then I just give him a nice loose rein trot to finish the ride. We didn't ride for too long today. I think it was about 30 or 40 minutes total, and that's just because it was super hot and we were both kind of over it by the end. So I just gave him a nice loose rein trot out, and then we come back to trot. I really look like a tree in this outfit now that I'm looking at it. And yeah, he was such a good boy as always. He's a real trier, this horse. I love him so much. He's just the perfect example of a little try-hard thoroughbred. I love thoroughbreds. Anyway, I let him have a nice cool down walk for again about 10 minutes, which is super important, guys. Make sure you're warming up and cooling down your horses properly before and after every single ride. Then I take him back into the yard, where I will give him some good scratchies, I know, which he always asks for. And you'll see he is a windsucker. This is just an old habit from being stabled as a racehorse, and it doesn't impact him negatively because we only have wooden fences here. You'll see I took his bit out really slowly there again just to avoid hitting his teeth, And then I give him a good face scratch because he always gets a really itchy face after being ridden. Girth coming off first. Look how sweaty he was after only a short ride. And yeah, he goes straight back to his hay. And then the girth goes up on his back. I always do that. And then I pop the saddle cover back on just because I have a phobia of my saddle getting sun damaged, or I try and keep my saddles in pristine condition because they are very expensive and very nice saddles, so I want to keep them in the best condition possible. Then I pop my girth on that upside down so it has time to air out. And I think my shims flew away when I did that, which I didn't notice. Then saddle pad comes off. And then finally the boots come off, which actually, guys, I noticed the shibs. I usually take the boots off first. I'm not exactly sure why I didn't on this day, but usually boots come off first just so they're immediately off his tendons, just because I don't like them to heat up too much. And you can see him kicking in all the flies, the poor guy. We get them so bad in summer. And then time to take my helmet off with my disgusting helmet hair. As you'll see, usually I have a cap, but I didn't today, so we're just getting gross. Then it's time to take all my stuff back at once. And those poles, guys, the amount of times I've been stuck on those poles with my saddle is insane. Anyway, walking all my stuff back up to the tack room before anything else so that it's all away and done, because this is my least favorite chore. So I'll pop my saddle back, bridle back on my one hook, which I really need to get a few more hooks, and helmet back in the cover, grooming kit back in the box, all done. Boots coming off. I don't think there are many better feelings than taking off tall boots on a really sweaty day, because my legs were wet, let me tell you. And then it's time to take the boy for a wash, and on the way I led a horse to water and he did drink. He drank a lot. It was very hot, as I said, so he was very thirsty. Then I just take him to the wash bay, get him all tied up and give him a hose down. I gave him a full body hose today because it's super hot and I knew he'd dry quickly, so I make sure I get all his legs up on his back where the saddle was, and then I do his face, which is not his favorite thing, but I do it anyway, and I think secretly he likes it on the top of his face. He just doesn't like it in his ears. Then time to give him a sweat scrape. I wonder if anyone actually uses these to scrape sweat off their horses. I always think about that. Then time to head back to the yard where I'll let him dry off a little bit while I pop his fly mask on. And then I did decide to leave him naked today because I thought he could have a nice time, and I thought he'd roll straight away, but he actually didn't. Then I pop his bell boots on. I pop these on to try and stop him losing shoes, because this horse loses the most amount of shoes I've ever seen a horse lose. I swear he does it on purpose. Cinderella, we call him. Anyway, time to release the beast, and he actually didn't roll for once. I was very, very shocked. This horse rolls so much, but no, he just headed off to join his buddies, and he had a little head flick and trot at the end. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe.